All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's Lair coverage of E3 2014, and we're talking about the Hunter Fighter Predator game of Evolve. And inside of Evolve, you play as a team of ragtag mercenaries tasked with hunting down a giant, deadly, celestial monster who has been roving the galaxy, murdering scientists and destroying human installations on alien worlds, and you have to find him and destroy him before he can strike again. And this is an interesting PvP game. I mean, that is the core of Evolve's gameplay. And you start out with a series of 4 classes that you can play with. You pick one of each, and you gather your group up, and you have to chase down one of 2 monsters to begin with, and kill them before they are able to mutate into their final forms that are their most powerful, and destroy a landmark objective inside of the map. And what can you tell me right now about the different classes available?
Well, so they have 4 classes. They have an assault, a trapper, a medic, and a support. They all do different things, and they all work really, really well together. And as soon as one of them is gone, the team kind of starts to fall apart. So they're all kind of built on each other. The assault is it's your main DPS against the monster. It's also the tankiest person on your team. They come with a personal shield, so they can really get right up into the face of the monster and deal with it and chunk its health, whether they have a flamethrower or a rifle. The next is the trapper. The trapper's main job is to find the monster in the map and try to keep it locked down. So they'll have a way to find it, whether it's a little dog that runs around the map and sniffs out the monster, or some other tool. And then they have ways to slow it down, a harpoon gun that'll tie the monster down to terrain and slow it down and stuff like that.
Right, and then we get into things like the support, and the support's job is to provide, obviously, tactical support, either by assisting the trapper in finding the monster. In the case of the robot, it's actually able to tear its head off, and it flies off like a little quadcopter, gets a beat on the monster and can track it for a brief period of time. And then you have the medic, whose job is to keep everyone very much alive and their juicy bits not smeared all over the rocks. And they have 2 primary varieties. Each of them obviously has the ability to deal damage. One, however, is able to maintain a constant rate of healing on the entire party, and the other, while not as much healing, is actually able to revive players that are dead. And this sort of brings me into talking about some of the balancing issues that I see already, especially looking at the tournament from E3, where it's very clear that most players are gravitating towards one specific character of each class and really ignoring the other. For example, one of the assault classes, he's got a flamethrower, and it's the most deadly weapon in the game as far as sheer damage output, and he still has all of the tankiness of his plasma cannoned counterpart. And you see a lot of people preferring to get him and just run up close and just start laying into either the 2 monsters, the Kraken, the flying tentacle monster, or the Goliath, which is a spiny brute who just kind of gets up in your face, and having a lot easier time than his counterpart at making the target quite dead. Likewise, with the support, you see that a lot of people play the robot because being able to detach his head lets you keep constant track of the monster so he can't get out of your sight.
Yeah, so hopefully they find some ways to balance this without completely ruining it. One of the medics, the guy that can bring people back to life, I think he looks broken right out of the box, because he can do it too often. If they just change the cooldown on it a little bit, where you can only revive a person every few minutes or something, I don't know what they would do, but it's little things like that they can do to really balance it further, I think, and that's going to be a big part to the longevity of the game, I think.
Right, and so obviously the hunter's task is to find and kill the monster before he can kill off the primary unit installation, and then the monster's job is to waylay and kill the hunters until he is able to kill different types of NPCs roaming about the battlefield in order to eat them and gain enough DNA and enough meaty goodness in order to mutate. And he has to mutate twice in order to become powerful enough to assault the installation's defenses. And
yeah, so Here's the cool thing about the map, though, is the monster can get buffs depending on certain like camps that he eats. So he can get like a speed buff if he happens to find this one monster and actually kill it and eat it. Or I think there's another one that it makes it so birds in the map don't fly around when you walk by them, so it's harder to get tracked.
Right, and that's one of the things, like, you can't just go around smashing everything. Some of the mechanics you can't just kill, and if you run into a flock of birds, they'll scatter, and that'll indicate to the trackers exactly where you are on the map. So you have to be very careful, but you can also enter predatory mode if you've freshly mutated, and the hunters are sort of waylaid with another predator on the map because they very much want to eat them and taste sup on their juicier insidey part. They can go ahead and use that as the perfect opportunity to start attacking you and just tearing into your rank.
Yeah, if they catch you, like, as a giant plant eats your medic, then you're probably just gonna die. So it's a really cool kind of like cat and mouse game between the hunters and the predator in the map itself. I think that's one of the best parts, is the way the maps are designed and balanced to kind of like help and hurt each team at the same time. It's almost like the map is like a third player.
Right, and it also provides some different challenges to the players beyond just having to worry about things trying to kill you. Because if you're just running around, killing any old animal that gets in your way, obviously it's going to delay you from actually finding the monster. He's going to have plenty of time to go farm up and get bigger. But if you don't spend the time to burn and dispose of the bodies that you've created, he can just run up around behind you and eat them, and you just gave him a free lunch. And that just makes your job harder. So overall, I like what I'm seeing from Evolve, and it seems like a fun game that we'll be able to play once we get it on PC, or for those of you who are going to grab it on Xbox One. And we're definitely hoping we're going to see at least one, definitely hoping to see like 2 more monsters at the very least when it comes out, but I'm not going to hold too much of my breath. I would definitely be okay with 3. And of course, they're promising us a whole host of new maps and environments that should make our job really fun, give us a nice variety. And, Savrik, you had something that you were hoping they were going to come out with too for PvP.
The thing I would like to see is to make it so you can actually play the game longer, they're going to have some other game types and other ways to play the game. So whether it's like 200 teams versus 2 monsters, or you can change how many hunters you have. If you want 4 salts to go against the Goliath, then you can do that. Or if you want to fight 2 monsters versus 2 monsters and like a total death match. They can have some really, really fun game types to help, keep longevity in the game. Granted, they're not going to be balanced, which I don't think anybody cares about as long as they're having fun.
Right. And we might even get the chance to develop our own hunters as they sort of release new content after it comes out, to define our own loadouts that, address some issues of maybe balancing, or just make it so it works better with your playstyle. Otherwise, we're really excited, and it should be interesting to see what happens when it comes out. Hoping for some new maps, new monsters, and a whole boatload of, alien mutation-y murdery goodness. I've been your host, Larry the Chupacabra, with my good buddy, Mr. Savrik, the Dread Pirate, and we will catch you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and toodaloo!
Bye, guys.